One, two, three. Three count four.
Hello everyone, I am Be Better Gamer and welcome to Be Better Gamer Wrestling, the channel dedicated to wrestling video games fueled by my love, passion, and obsession for them. Thank you so much on clicking this video. I am playing Virtual Wrestling 2, my favorite wrestling game of all time, bringing you another one of my created wrestlers. I am bringing you none other than the living legend, Negro Casas. That's right, living legend. He is 59 years old and still wrestling, still kicking ass for CMLL, one of the most popular lucha libre stars from the 80s and 90s. A lot of junior heavyweight contemporaries for Negro Casas in this game. Even though he was based in Mexico, he crossed paths with pretty much every junior heavyweight that is in Virtual Wrestling 2. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about his legacy and some of his more famous matches and everything with Negro Casas. But I'm going to go over the call right now. The full call you can find in the description below. I have everything typed out in a nice Google spreadsheet. But we're going to go over the appearance right now, starting with the head. Head shape 1, skin tone 2 for Casas. We got face 62. And then for the hair, I went with 4. He's got the long curly hair, which, you know, you can't really do curly hair too much in this game, but we went with that one. 40 and 0 for the front hair. So 40 for front hair, 0 the hair color, so keeping it black. And then body size, we went with 2. Ring attire A1. He's an old school kind of wrestler. He's classic, man. Just the regular tights, boots, sometimes knee pads, no knee pads here. Wristbands 1, and then for boots I went with A23, 0 and 1. I went with those boots because they're kind of long. They come all the way up to the knees almost, and that's kind of the boots that Casas wears. For the second outfit, I have his short boots, his short white boots, I guess you would say, that he used to wear quite a bit, and sometimes he still does. Now he mostly wears just the long boots. This look is based off of his appearance in the Super J Cup. And I went with these knee pads, 10, the long ones. His knee pads weren't quite as long as this, but they reached the boots. The boots he wore, I went with A14, 0 and 10, black and gold. The boots he wore for the J Cup were a lot longer. Again, all his boots usually come high up to the knees, and some of the boots in this game don't go that high up. C9, 0 and 1 for the tights. This is based off of his J Crown appearance and a bunch of other appearances. I mean, he's wore these outfits, you know, all over the place. He's a very well-traveled, again, legendary wrestler, wrestled all over the world, and he's got a lot of different variation of outfits and tights. Usually you'll see him with the short tights, black with like white design on them. I went with just solid black. I'm kind of going for a look that's a little bit more closer to what you saw him wear in the 90s, especially like maybe in the late 90s. Today he wears like these really cool looking boots that I couldn't emulate in this game. So this is more of a look as if Negro Casas was in the game, you know, if he was in Virtual Wrestling 2 around this time. We're going to face another junior heavyweight legend, Jushin Thunder Liger. He has a history with Liger as well, making him like it's 1999 all over again. We're coming up, next year is going to be the 20-year anniversary for Virtual Wrestling 2. And I'm very excited to do a bunch of anniversary stuff. But yesterday, I'm recording this video on Wednesday, but uploading it on Friday. But on Thursday, which is yesterday, I'm talking about the future, but I'm making believe I'm talking about the past. It's September 19th, is going to mark the 40-year anniversary of Negro Casas starting as a pro wrestler. 40-year career. He's part of the Casas family. It's a legendary family in Mexico. His father is Pepe Casas. Now, Pepe Casas, you might not know the name, but you know the move he invented, the La Magistral Credo, or the La Casita, as it's known in Mexico. That's right, the Magistral Credo, the move that everyone does nowadays. That is the signature maneuver for Pepe Casas and the Casas family. Negro Casas himself used it as his finisher. He still uses it. It's one of his trademark moves. It's a trademark move for the family. They used to only pass it along to people they have trained, and they've trained a lot of wrestlers over the years. but now everyone uses it. It's become like kind of a standard move. It's a move you see all the time done in the Aki games as well. He is the brother to Felino and Heavy Metal. He's got a large family. I'm not going to go over everyone in his family. Just a few notable names. Felino and Heavy Metal, 2 other major stars in Lucha Libre. Uncle to one of my favorite rising stars today, Puma King. I love Puma King. He's great. And he's the father-in-law to the insanely popular Psycho Clown, one of AAA's biggest stars today. I wanted to make Negro Casas because there's not a lot of Lucha Libre representation in virtual pro wrestling too. It's something that I always appreciated about Fire Pro Wrestling, although, you know, maybe their roster wasn't as deep when it came to Lucha Libre stars, but they had Negro Casas and Fire Pro. You know, you can find them even most recently in Fire Pro Wrestling Returns on the PS2, and that's where I used as the basis for some of his moveset. I used a lot of footage though that I found on YouTube and online for his moveset, and got all his signatures in here. Again, he's a classic old school wrestler, a lot of grapples, a lot of submissions, but I love watching his intensity. He's so intense. He's so charismatic. I first saw him in the Super J Cup back in 1994. That's when I first saw him. I remember him being part of the tournament. He loses in the first round to Ricky Fuji, but at that time he was wrestling for, you know, 15 years. He was a veteran in that tournament. He also appeared in the J Crown tournament, which I also had a VHS tape of growing up, losing there as well in the first round to Shinjiro Otani. The J Crown was the championship of all the championships. You know, it was like 8 or 9 championships. I think it was 8, right? And if you watch WCW growing up, you saw Ultimo Dragon coming out with all these championships. That was the J Crown. Casas was part of that tournament. He was the NWA World Welterweight Champion at the time. He's held many titles over his career: the CMLL World Middleweight title, the Tag Team Championship, the Trios Championship, the NWA Welterweight Championship, and NWA Historic Championship. As a Tag Team Champion, he has the record for most days with a tag team with Shocker. They were Tag Team Champions for over 1,300 days, and the most individual reign, like longest individual reign, combining all his 6 reigns as Tag Team Champion, 2,577 days. He's tied with Ultimo Guerrero for most reigns with 6, but he has the longest of days for all the reigns combined. He's primarily only been with CMLL since his debut. He's wrestled for UWA, he's wrestled for New Japan, he's wrestled all over the world, but in terms of Mexico, it's primarily been CMLL with UWA and a few other various Mexican indies. He's never wrestled for AAA except for like once when CMLL and AAA did a crossover show in 2000. That was the only time he ever wrestled technically for AAA. And I mentioned that because Dr. Wagner Jr. is in this game. Huge star in AAA, but Wagner Jr. also wrestled for CMLL throughout the 2000s, and it was a big deal when Wagner came over to AAA, so big that Wagner and Casas was the main event for the CMLL anniversary show. It was the 67th anniversary at that time in 2000, again the year this game came out, and I could not find that match. I wanted to find that match. I wanted to see Casas and Dr. Wagner Jr. There's a few tag team matches you can find with them on YouTube, but that was sort of the issue I was noticing when really trying to do a deep dive. Like I said, I remember seeing him from the J Cup, but I never collected any tapes back in the day with Casas in him. I never really learned much about him until fairly recently, and doing a lot more research for this video and really falling in love with him, man. He's such a great wrestler. He's amazing. Seeing him wrestle all his contemporaries, if you will, of the time, you know, you look at the people from that J Cup, you look at the people, you know, around the late 80s, early 90s in the junior heavyweight division. Casas wrestled them all and had great matches, but a lot of those matches I couldn't find. I couldn't find some of those matches. You can find a lot of his feud with El Hijo del Santo, another legendary junior heavyweight wrestler who's not in this game, who is in the Fire Pro game, so I gotta do something about that, right? With El Hijo del Santo. They have a storied rivalry. You almost can't talk about one without talking about the other. Bunch of matches you can find on YouTube, but still a bunch of matches I couldn't find. He's got matches with Yoshihiro Asai on YouTube, aka Ultimo Dragon. Those matches are awesome. Go check out those matches. Check out his matches with El Dandy. That's right, El Dandy. If you watched WCW growing up, you know who El Dandy is. But in Mexico, another big star, and El Dandy and Casas had a great rivalry. 2 out of 3 falls on YouTube. Look it up. It's awesome. You know, he didn't really branch into the States too much. He was part of the WWF Super Astros program. That was a short-lived show that WWF was trying to do to break into the Latin American market. Didn't last too long. They used a lot of people from AAA and CMLL, Casas being one of them. But you know, over the years, Otani, El Samurai, Jericho when he was Corazon de Leon in Mexico, Beto Aguirre Jr., Blue Panther, Mystico, Rush, or Rush, however you want to say it, Volador Jr., Prince Devitt, La Sombra, Dragon Lee, Máscara Dorada, the list goes on and on and on. Casas has wrestled nearly everyone, and his influence can definitely be felt today in Lucha Libre and even in the world of junior heavyweight wrestling, because again, like a lot of the junior heavyweights featured in this game, like El Samurai, Otani, they were all very influential, and their presence can still be felt today. Casas was one of them. Casas was one of them, representing the Mexican side of junior heavyweight wrestling, along with Blue Panther, El Hijo del Santo. You know, and it's a shame that I couldn't find a lot of the footage for matches that I wanted to see. You know, like another example, there's a match with him and Pegasus Kid that I was able to see from the top of the Super Junior tournament, but I couldn't find the Owen Hart match. I really wanted to see that. Highly recommend his match with Liger in 1990, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. He wears this awesome like full body outfit that I did see him wear in a few other matches that I didn't recreate here. But maybe I should have. You know, you can't really do the fur. They don't have like that fur get up here. It would have been awesome to create that. Daniel Bryan recently mentioned in an interview how Blue Panther and Negro Casas were one of his favorite, or two of his favorite Lucha Libre wrestlers. Here we go. The La Magistral, the La Casita, get rolling up Liger, signature move of the Casas family. But Brian mentioned Casas as being one of his favorites, and I could see why Brian would love Casas. I mean, they have similar styles, similar intensity, the way they wrestle, the way they move. Again, even at 59 years old, he can still go in the ring. He's so good, so entertaining to watch, very popular. And yeah, what a great career. 40 years, his legacy still lives on. And even if you're just finding out about him or just learning about him, you'll quickly see what I mean about him being so influential with the style of wrestling you see today and the wrestlers you see today. But that's going to be it. Hopefully I'll talk more about Casas in the future. It's rumored that WWE is going to be purchasing the tape library, or they're interested in purchasing the tape library for CMLL. That'd be awesome if that were to happen, so maybe we could see more Casas matches online. Follow me on social media at BeBetterGamer. Check out my other Virtual Wrestling 2 calls and Let's Plays. You've been on YouTube before, you know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, keep watching all the wrestling. Thanks again.